So we're back, and it is Tuesday, so we got Chetwayo aboard with us via Zoom, and we're going to be talking about a topic entitled the hormone confusion. So we're going to bring in Seth one time. Let's go. All right, Seth, morning to you, man.
Good morning, Stefan, Synergy TV, all of our viewers internationally, well, the regional, right? In
Yes,
St.
yes,
Lucia,
yes.
right? Enjoying the
Of
nice
course.
weather and the ambience. Good,
Nice,
good.
man.
I'm yet
Of
to visit.
course.
I'm yet to visit. All right.
Yes.
So, topic this morning, the hormone confusion, or what
Right.
I'll call hormonal imbalance and the truth that they are not explaining. All
All
right.
right.
So, what happened is, people have dealt with these topics, and it touched on things like fertility issues, hormonal imbalance, estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, animal protein, and plant-based diets. And the confusion, there's some confusion among that is being sold to the public. And I recently heard on a health discussion where fertility issues and hormonal imbalances were being discussed. And in that discussion, certain claims were made about dairy, animal protein, plant-based diets, and hormone balance. Now, I'm not here to attack anyone personally. I'm here to explain the claim, because when claims are made publicly, especially on health matters, they must be tested against biology, and they must be tested against physiology, and they have to be tested against mechanisms. And if the explanation does not line up with how the human body works, then the public believes, let me not say believes, the public deserves to know that, all right? Because some of these claims, they sound scientific, right? Some of them might sound natural, all right? Some of them may even be said by someone using the title doctor.
Right.
But this is where the public has to, slow down, because not everyone called a doctor is a medical doctor. A person
Okay.
could be a naturopath. A person may have naturopathic training. A person may have a doctorate or a certificate in another field, right? But that's why they have distinction, and they would say a MD, right? A medical
Okay.
doctor, right? To be to clarify it and to rid the public of the confusion, right? Because when people hear, the general public, when they hear doctor, they automatically assume medical doctor, and that creates what is called title confusion. And title confusion has become, especially in today's time, a marketing tool. Because once the public hears the title, they stop questioning the explanation, right? But I want
Right.
people to understand, something very clearly, and that is, truth does not become true because someone is called a doctor, right? Truth doesn't become truth because, someone is wearing a white coat. That is something that has a strategy that has been used in the marketing industry, like pharmaceuticals and supplement industry, where they would hire an actor to just put on a white coat and a stethoscope over their neck, right, in the ads, because of this very same thing that causes that title confusion. And when people see, hey, this person having a white coat and a stethoscope around their neck, then people automatically think the information is true, right?
Right. Yeah.
But when it comes to truth, it doesn't even matter if your clinic looks professional. You could have a professional looking clinic, right, and it could still be inaccurate. It must line up with biology. It must line up with physiology. It must line up with the mechanisms. Right. Now, the other issue is, if the general public don't have much knowledge on biology, physiology, or the mechanisms, how to go in and rectify anything,
Right.
right? And this is one of the reasons why I went as far as to publish my book to be a source of credible information for individuals so they could understand certain things. All right. So let's get into it. So let's start with milk and animal protein. Milk and animal protein are not in the same conversation. It's not the same conversation. Milk is one conversation, and meat is another conversation, and animal protein is yet another conversation. So milk is a growth fluid, and it is produced by, a lactating animal. It is designed to support the rapid growth and development of the young of that species. So yes, I do not recommend milk as a necessary adult food.
Right.
Those that have my book know how strongly I put the argument in with regards to that. So if people get my book, they would see. All right. And especially after the natural weaning stage. All right. But it is completely wrong to take the milk argument and use it to attack meat and animal protein. Animal protein is not milk. Animal protein is broken down into amino acids, and those amino acids are used by the body to repair tissue, to build enzymes, maintain organs, support the immune function, support muscles, support blood, support the reproductive system, and rebuild the structure of the body. So when someone say that animal protein causes hormonal imbalance because animals have protein, that is a very shallow explanation. All animals have protein across the board. Right? Human beings, right? We have hormones. All animals have hormones. Cows have hormones. Goats have hormones. Fish, chicken, right? You name it, they have hormones. And that alone means nothing. The real question is, what type of hormones? What amount? How is it metabolized, and does it have a meaningful effect inside the human body? The natural hormones found in animal foods are mammalian hormones, right? Hormones that mammals produce. And they are on the same biological category as hormones the human body already produces, right? Let me say that again. The hormones found in mammals are mammalian hormones, and it is in the same category of the hormones the human body naturally produces. Right? So when a person would normally consume from meat, what they consume from meat, even with milk, where hormone levels can be higher than in muscle meat. So milk have higher levels of hormones because remember, milk is designed to grow the young of the animal. The amount consumed from normal intake is still small compared to what the body naturally produces. Right? Okay. And when hormones are consumed orally, they have to go through digestion and liver metabolism. So to frighten people by saying animal foods contain hormones without explaining amount, form, and metabolism, that is not science. That is what I call fear marketing, right? But here's where the contradiction becomes serious. Some of the same people warning the public about hormones in animal foods are pushing plant-based diets, but plants contain phytoestrogens. Now, phytoestrogens are plant compounds, and they are not human estrogen, right? It's not mammalian hormones. And they can interact with estrogen receptors in the human body. That means they can behave like weak estrogen signals in some tissues, and in other situations, they can compete or interfere with estrogen signaling. So how can someone frighten the public about small amounts of natural mammalian hormones in animal foods, but then promote plant foods that contain compounds capable of interacting with estrogen receptors? That is not balanced science. That is selective fear, right? Okay. That is selective fear. And they are not only afraid of hormones when the conversation points to animal food, right? But when the hormonal activity comes from plants, suddenly the concern disappears. And that there shows a bias, right? And that is why people must be careful. Plant-based doesn't automatically mean hormone-friendly. Natural doesn't automatically mean safe, Doctor approved does not automatically mean biologically correct.
If you want to understand what's really happening inside your body, I break it down in detail in my book. You are not sick, you are malnourished. It's available on Amazon and...
Now, let's go a little deeper. Because if we are talking about hormone imbalance, we cannot only talk about estrogen, testosterone, and progesterone. We have to talk about something called SHBG, which stands for sex hormone binding globulin. All right. And it's actually not a hormone, it's a binding protein made mainly by the liver. And its job is to bind hormones like testosterone and estrogen and help control how much of those hormones remain free and active in the body. Right? And this is extremely important because when SHBG is too low, more testosterone can remain free and active. And that contributes to hormone imbalance. And it can contribute to acne, it can contribute to irregular cycles, it can contribute to infertility issues. It is seen in conditions like PCOS, right? So the deeper question, and not just PCOS as well, is also a key factor in uterine cancers also, right? So the deeper question is not, did this person eat animal protein? The deeper question is, why is the body's hormone regulation breaking down? Why is SHB, which is sex hormone binding globulin, low? Why is insulin high? Why is the liver under stress? Why is the metabolism damaged? And one of the biggest drivers of that damage is sugar, right? Sugar. Sugar damages the metabolic environment. Sugar drives insulin. Sugar contributes to liver fat production. Sugar can interfere with the liver's ability to properly regulate SHBG. And when SHBG drops, the balance between bound hormones and free hormones, that changes, right? That is where the hormonal imbalance can begin. So when a clinic tells people to come off animal protein and go get plant-based, while ignoring sugar, insulin resistance, liver metabolism, SHBG, and phytoestrogens, they are not dealing with root cause. They are giving people a selective explanation. They are making animal foods the villain while ignoring the deeper metabolic damage. And this is why people need my book. Because in my book, Stefan, I go into the whole sugar story, where sugar came from, how it enters the human diet, right? How it was normalized, how it reshaped human health, and how it became one of the most destructive forces in the modern diet, right? And when people understand sugar properly, they'll begin to understand why so much of what is being sold as healthcare today is misleading. Right? They would understand why so many clinics can sound scientific and still be wrong. Well, how we know that? Look how much clinics, look how much health centers and stuff it have around the world, and why all diseases continue to escalate. Why am I the only person in the Caribbean that is reversing diseases like cancer with no intervention, no medication, no surgery, no drugs, no supplement, and not putting people at risk for other diseases? Why am I the only person doing that? Right? And that's because I take a root cause approach. Right? Everybody trying to turn to a tonic or some kind of invasive therapies, something, they're looking for something in a bottle, some kind of injection. Right?
Right.
That's not the approach.
Fix, yeah.
Right? People looking for that. How much decades now we doing that? What has it solved? No disease decline, no. But everybody still, that is the definition of insanity, right? That is the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and over. So you're taking the medication, you're taking the injections, you're doing all of these procedures, right? And you're still sick, and you're thinking, I just need to do it more. You just need to do it more. That is insanity, because you have been doing it all the time and it isn't working.
Right.
It isn't working, right? We need to start thinking different. We need to start with a process-based healing methodology. That is what nutritional therapy is. Everybody looking for product-based healing. Product-based healing has never worked. All it have done is just suppress symptoms temporarily, and then you end up with more problems later on. We have to get out of that mindset. People not fed up of being sick. I would hope people fed up of being sick, right? We're not fed up of running around in circles all the time. But you see, yeah, is it going to?
The way that I see, the way that I see people, we only have about a minute left. But the way that I see people, in the fitness thing now, and everybody running a 5K, and I mean, you see how many 5Ks and stuff it have. People more on the fitness level, but while they're on the fitness level, the nutritional side of things would be the traditional nutritional way that they know it, which does not necessarily go hand in hand with what you're talking about.
With
But in
biology,
terms
correct?
of people wanting to feel better, live longer, stay fitter, that kind of thing, you've seen it from the exercise aspect, but the nutritional
So,
aspect is where
right, that's what
there
lacking,
are
and
different
you know, people
different
tend to
approaches.
do what feels easier to do because exercising, like I said, is a measure of performance.
Yeah.
That doesn't require an intellectual approach. That doesn't require having to sit and analyze or educate yourself, right? To the same degree that it would take for one to do the research to educate themselves on proper nutrition. But this is why I made it easier. That's why I wrote my book, Stefan, because to
Right.
try to sift through the amount of misinformation it have, right? I think I might have to do a segment. Remember, I think it was back in 2021 or 2022, where I did this segment on the hierarchy of studies to help people understand how to research. Because if you don't know how to research, you're going and be swaying like a leaf in the wind from here, there, and everywhere.
Right.
But that's also why I wrote my book. I simplified everything, right? I removed the rubbish, I removed the clutter, I removed the garbage that have been misdirecting people. All of the misinformation I cleared out, and I show people a clear path to the truth and provide all the references so you can compare it, and people can even try the hardest to challenge it. They would not be able to dismiss what I wrote in that book because it is concrete. And that's why I encourage people, get the book. It's available RIK bookstores nationwide,
Yeah.
Nelson's bookstore in Tobago. The digital copy is on Gumroad, right? So people can message me for that link. And it's also on Amazon. And of
On
course, you could
Amazon.
get it from the clinic
All
as
right.
well, right? And if you want to truly get your specific issue dealt with, book a consultation, come and see me. I don't have fancy products and props. I like to call it props. You go and you do a blood analysis or you do
Yeah.
a body scan. I
Yeah.
don't have those props. I don't need those props. I already know what causing your health issues. So I don't need props.
Right.
Right? Because you know how people respond. Once they see an activity being done, I put some things on your head, or I have you hold something and squeeze or stick some things on your body. You're easy to distribute your money. And here's the thing, that ain't even giving them a solution,
Right.
That isn't giving you a solution, but people would throw out the money because, he do something.
Well,
All I do is just tell you're sick, but you already come by me knowing you're sick, right?
all right.
So how that help you? Doesn't help nobody. I deal with root cause of your issues. I already know what causing your health issues. That is how I've been able to reverse it. How you think I've been able to reverse cancer in different people over the years? How I've been able to reverse autoimmune conditions? And don't talk about diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular diseases. How is it I've been able to reverse all of those things with no intervention, just by educating and coaching people? That takes knowledge and proper application of knowledge. All right?
Yep. Well, Seth, we all the time, but thanks a lot for joining us. Valuable information as usual. And of course, next week we'll have to do it from St. Lucia again, eh?
Yeah.
Because we won't be back until Tuesday night. So
Yes, understood,
yeah.
understood.
All right. So, but thanks a lot, man. That's Chetwayo board, and of course,
Thanks
you
for
can give
having
him a
me.
call and book a consultation. 279-3935 or 761-1952. Make sure and get in contact with him today if you want to take that nutritional approach to health. All right, and getting better or reversing those diseases that you have.
If you want to understand what's really happening inside your body, I break it down in detail in my book. You are not sick, you are malnourished. It's available on Amazon and